this morning. Since you all subpoenaed or announced you were going to subpoena former President Trump this week, we saw his first response on Truth Social. What did you make of it? He didn't say whether or not he'd testify.
Well, I mean, it was 14 pages of kind of it seems like every statement the former president does now is increasingly long and even more rambling. So I don't know. I couldn't glean whatever he got from that. What I know is we made a decision, and in front of the American people, not behind closed doors, to begin that process of subpoenaing the former president. He's required by law to come in, and he can ramble and push back all he wants. That's the requirement for a congressional subpoena to come in.
There have been some suggestions that he may be willing, according to associates, to testify live before the committee. Is that something that's acceptable to you?
Well, again, I think that's going to be a negotiation. I have long learned in this that people will say something publicly. Look at the former Secret Service members who claimed that Cassidy Hutchinson was lying when she obviously was not, about, overhearing that conversation of what happened in the limo. They claim they'd come in and speak to us. They won't do it. They have yet to come in. So I'll only address that when we know for sure whether or not the president has tried to push to come in and talk to us live.
You say he's obligated by law to respond to the subpoena. Do you believe that the Justice Department, if the president refuses, should hold him in criminal contempt?
Look, that's a bridge we cross if we have to get there. Look, we well recognize the fact that because of the committee only being able to exist till the end of this congressional year, because that was the mandate, we're at a bit of a time limit here. And as we're wrapping up the investigation, we're also pursuing new leads and facts, and we want to speak to the president. Look, if he's made it clear he has nothing to hide, is what he says. So he should come in on the day we ask him to come into. If he pushes off beyond that, we'll figure out what to do next. Granted that, this is not an unprecedented move by Congress, but it's also, we recognize this is a big deal. This is a big move. But this isn't about us. It's about the American people, George. Look, what happened on January 6th was terrible. What led up to that and what happened since is what I'm more worried about. And democracies are not defined by those bad days, but how we come back from those bad days. This is that process. This is laying out before the American people what happened and determining we can never do this again.
President Biden said yesterday that the committee made an overwhelming case. Should we be expecting a criminal referral?
Look, again, I think the question of criminal referral really, it doesn't have much of a point, because obviously DOJ is moving forward on this anyway. It's not a mandate, but I think it would be, we're certainly going to address that issue, and we'll have more to come on that when we make that decision. But regardless, it looks like DOJ has already begun this investigation. I take a lot of pride in two things. Number one, our mandate is to tell the American people the truth, come up with fixes. I know that my kid, and I know that, the craziest conspiracy theories kid in 10 years is going to believe that it was Donald Trump that started January 6th. So all these conspiracies today will go away, largely because of the work we've done. I also know that the Justice Department appears to be pursuing this pretty hard.
You say they will go away, but you've got an overwhelming number of Republican candidates for offices across the country this year, House, Senate, Secretaries of State, who are amplifying former President Trump's lies about the last election, basically election deniers. So the threat is continuing, isn't it?
It is. It certainly is. And look, I don't think this is just going to go away organically. This is going to take the American people really standing up and making the decision that truth matters. It's why I started my organization, Country First, which is country1st.com, to say, look, I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat, because the battle right now is truth, and the battle is the preservation of democracy. And look, with these deniers out there that can't even agree on basic facts, or will lie to the American people, or people like Kevin McCarthy, who've been put in a very important position that refuses to tell the truth, because that's much harder, or that's much easier to just lie than to tell the truth and still try to win the speakership. This is the fight. And I would love to say this was going to happen easily. It's going to take everybody's work out there, working hard, because I don't think you want to leave your kids a country off like what we've been living in terms of how divided it is.
As you said, the clock is ticking on the committee. What should we expect next?
Well, right now, look, it's putting those facts together, putting together in more of depth, in a deeper kind of way, exactly what we know. For instance, the last hearing I did before this last one, it was about an hour and a half long. That could have been about a 4-hour hearing. So you'll see more of those details. We'll start to work on recommendations, and then again, we put out that report, and really the torch has been passed, yes, to DOJ, but also to the American people, because we're saying, here's what the deal is. Now it's up to you to stop this from happening again, and really take control as a self-governing country. What kind of a country do you want to live in? This is not acceptable how we've been doing it. We can do way better.